Does it seem like the world's just going crazy these days? Do folks just seem to be overreacting about every little thing? Is this supposed to be the new normal? What can we do if we're anxious and overreacting in our own lives? Let's talk about it. Hi there, welcome to a brand new episode of the Koala Counselor Podcast. My name is Charles, and I'm a pastoral counselor, clinical mental health counselor in training, husband and girl dad to two amazing daughters. And for the past 17 years, it's been my passion to help folks just like you reduce stress and build success in all of your relationships so that you can build and live an abundant life. Join me right here every week as we talk about relationships, parenting, anxiety, depression, improving your mental health, and how we can experience a life of awesome possibilities when we choose to live a holistic koala lifestyle. Question of the day: why do so many people seem to get so anxious and react just so emotionally, even over the top, sometimes even violently these days? Well, like you, I've watched the current events of the past year or so, and I've asked myself this very question a lot of times. And as a father of two young children, I'm keenly aware of the world in which we're trying to raise them, and how many times they've asked us the question, "Daddy, why are they doing that?" Perhaps your own children are asking you the same questions. Now, of course, there are a few big picture reasons why things are so chaotic these days. The pandemic, recent elections, and a whole host of political and social issues. Any one of them could put somebody on edge. Now, of course, this isn't the purpose of our time here together, but we know that we've definitely seen big increases in anxiety and depression and lots of other mental health issues. And in the coming weeks, we'll talk about some ways in which you can reduce your own anxiety and your own stress. But let's today talk about one big reason why we seem to get just so stressed out these days: distortion of reality. Now, in a number of ways, the reality that we're experiencing is being distorted by the lies that we tell ourselves and that we believe on a regular basis. According to Dr. Chris Thurman, author of the best-selling book, The Lies We Believe, we can mentally distort reality in 7 different ways: magnification, minimalization, personalization, polarization, overgeneralization, selective abstraction, and emotional reasoning. Now, there's a whole lot there to unpack and to kind of wrap our minds around. So let's just take 3 of those and kind of look at those a little bit more deeply. First one, magnification. This is when we make mountains out of molehills. We exaggerate the true size, the true meaning, and the impact of events. We make it much bigger than it really needs to be. Second, personalization. It's when we take things personally. Everything is about us. Everything's about our effects on us and how we look at it. Regardless of the actual true meaning, the actual cause, it's all about me. And then emotional reasoning, number 3, we generate distorted reactions to real events because our feelings are equated with truth. In other words, if I feel it's a certain way, it must of course be true. Now, if we're operating under just these 3 distortions, then even minor events can get blown out of proportion or taken personally. And then we use our feelings to justify whatever behaviors come next. It often sounds like this: "Well, you made me feel a certain way, and I just snapped." Or, "Well, this thing happened, and so I couldn't help myself." Or even, "Well, if you hadn't offended me by this, then I wouldn't have done that." Now, this combination of distorted reality and bad behaviors justified by our feelings, it's a dangerous combination, but it's one that we see happening more and more these days. Now, granted, some events, some actions by others do generally justify a strong but legal response, but many just simply don't. So what can we do? How can we avoid overreacting? Simply this: by taking a look at the events of the day, by looking at what's going on objectively and calmly, and then looking at our reactions to those events. In other words, as I heard growing up, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And then ask yourself the question: am I responding to what's really happening, or am I distorting reality in some kind of way? And if that's the case, how can we avoid distorting this reality in our own lives? I'd suggest there are 3 ways we can do this. First of all, in Dr. Thurman's words, don't make a nickel event into a $500 event. In other words, don't exaggerate the impact, the meaning, or the effects of an event just because it was negative. Rather, we respond to events that occur after taking the time to evaluate what those mean and how we might best respond, because often our first response is our worst response. Second, take a deep breath and just remember, it's not all about you. Not everything is meant to be taken personally. But here's the point. People are most likely thinking about themselves a lot more than they think about you. Most of their choices will have nothing to do with your issues, with what you're doing, but have a whole lot more to do with themselves and their issues and their hang-ups. Number 3, remember that emotions are meant to influence our decisions, but not determine them. And they're an important part of our makeup, our decision-making, obviously, and to be sure, we're designed with emotions as part of the package, but they're not the be-all, end-all. Also, just because we may feel something doesn't make that something true. For example, I might feel that a certain sports team is the greatest of all time, but if they haven't even won a world championship, then my feelings don't match the reality. Let the facts determine what's true, and let your feelings remain in their rightful place. If we can decide to do just these 3 simple things, to not exaggerate things, to not take things personally, to not let our feelings determine what we believe to be true, we're going to see the events of our day much more accurately, and we'll also respond much more calmly and much more effectively. Whether somebody cuts us off in traffic, or we don't get the promotion we anticipated, or our spouse leaves their shoes in the middle of the bedroom floor one more time, we still have the choice to respond rationally. We don't have to choose anger or violence or arguments, and we can avoid the insanity that the world seems to be increasingly engulfed in these days. And perhaps we could even have political discussions when they come up without coming to blows or filing for divorce. Just a thought. So let me ask you this. What are some of the ways that you have prevented overreacting in your own life? What's worked for you? And what's one new strategy that you can try out this coming week? Let me know in the comments below, or contact us. Send us a DM, quick message, let us know. I'd love to hear from you. And if today's episode has been a help to you, like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit that notification bell. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, we definitely appreciate a positive review so that these messages can get out to more folks just like you. And if there's a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss, then just drop us a quick comment and you may see your suggestion on a future episode of the podcast. Until next time, I'm Charles, the Koala Counselor, wishing you less stress and much success in all your relationships. God bless.